Uh, so this is, as I said, this is my first open to all session. We might have one more tomorrow. Those who don't know me or uh, come to this batch or come to this masterclass from LinkedIn, just for them, I'm Mohit Dharmadhikari. I have around 18 plus years of experience in the industry, predominantly in .NET, full stack, ASP.NET, MVC, C Sharp, JavaScript, I would say. Predominantly, I have worked on Azure, but have some idea about overview level knowledge on AWS as well. I'm conducting this course since 2021, and I have been featured at Times Square by TopNet for innovators category in DevOps side. So rest assured, you are in a safe hands. At least from Git perspective, I can say that. So let me start sharing because this is first and last presentation. In case if you are joining the batch, because this is the only time I conduct presentation. The rest of the time, the complete batch, which is around up to roughly around 12 sessions, 12 to 14 sessions, where we just do hands-on. And I even ask the students to share their screen. Let's go through the code. Let's go through the commands. So I hope this screen is visible for you before I start. I just shared the presentation for now, but we will continuously switch back between the presentation, the theory and practical part. So I expect those who are joining from the laptop or computer should have Git installed on your system. If not, maybe that can be a part of course syllabus anyway. But today I'm not going to jump into the installation of Git. I can show you the link where you can go ahead and install. Rather, what I would do that now itself so that you can save time on Git installation. So for now, go with the default installation. I would just zoom in a bit. So depending on your system, so if you go to Windows, right-click Windows icon and system. So depending on your system, which is this 64-bit operating system, right? So some of you might have 32-bit operating system, some of you might have 64-bit. So depending on your system, you need to choose wisely. I would suggest to go for standalone installer. So depending on your architecture, either you will find x86, x64, or you will find ARM64 based on your processor. So those who are on Windows and with Intel Atom laptops, you should be choosing this option. Otherwise, go ahead with this. For now, go the default option, next, and install the Docker. Sorry, not Docker, Git. Install the Git for yourself.
Mohit sir,
Yes.
only your Microsoft Office or PPT is visible window, not anything else is visible. I think you're sharing the wrong window.
Thank you, Guru Prabhanan. Thank you.
Sir, sir मत बुलाइए, गुरु बुलाइए, please.
Yes, sure, Guru. My bad. Thanks for correcting, Guru. I hope now you are able to see the screen.
Yep, all good.
Great. So what I was saying, if you go to your Windows icon, right click into the system, you need to be very cautious of your system architecture, and based on that, you need to make the selection. Even if you don't able to do it today, completely okay. I will certainly connect with you offline and will help you out. Please ensure you install standalone installer, either x64 architecture or ARM64 based on your laptop. Okay. So I will not going to spend time into installation. We'll get started. I hope you are still, those who are joining new, please vote on the poll. So yeah, let's get started. I have already done my introduction part, so we'll go. Even I have called this out that why you should learn with me. So this is before starting what is Git or what is version control, we need to understand why we are at all here. And this is based on my experience with last 4 years interacting with students, interacting with my colleagues, even I would say my leads. Git is the most underrated tool I feel across the technology stack, be it developers, automation QAs, or DevOps professionals. Uh, and the reason I say underrated because I have seen a lot of better pipelines, better processes in DevOps across my career. But if your code is not properly versioned of, or if your code doesn't have right set of branching strategies, even after having right set of infrastructure, having set of right set of I would say processes, it will not gonna help you. So for sure, we need to really understand what, not just what about Git, why about Git, and how those commands work underneath. Again, this is very much modest figure because this slide is, I'm just presenting this slide since 2021. So more than 95% of projects or source code in the IT industry, code base we can say, are rely on Git. Some of may call out GitHub, some of may call it as a Bitbucket, some may call it as a GitLab, Azure repos, AWS code commit, so on and so forth. But ultimately, they are just providers. Or you and in the background, they are just hosting your Git repositories. So you can, in fact, guess this number is more than 95%. There are still some projects are in centralized version control system or some other version control. Yeah, this is pretty much very close to my heart because of I would say gap in my understanding about rebase, about some ranking strategies. When I was in working when I was working in Australia, it really costed me a job. Uh, Somehow my lead has very helpful, very supportive. So he is able to take all those noise, support me in terms of uh, how one should actually branch out, how rebase works. So that really helped me to save my job. But if you are at on-site, so you're not just one individual, you are basically representing your company. Specifically, this is how it works from the service-based side. Last but not the least, why each and every one of us should look into this tool is because it is created by none other than Linus Torvalds, who is the creator of Linux operating system. Uh, I just would like to, in the interest of time, so that you and me align, uh, who would be doing this workshop or training in case if you turn out. And we must be curious about how Git works, not how to run some commands on the Git. It is you don't need me, in fact, for that. Very much a lot of trainings and tutorials or documentations allowed available on this. We should look for subject matter expertise in our circle, team, department, company, or whatever we can call it. Uh, so basically, understanding it beyond the syntax of the commands or grammar of the command. And last but not the least, the audience that I'm expecting in this training are either would like to upskill themselves into the technical side. If they are non-technical, that should be okay. But they are looking forward for technical career. Either you can be a developer, language or programming stack doesn't matter. Automation testers, DevOps or SRE, cloud engineers, and so on and so forth. This is not for project managers, I would say BAs, account leads or directors, purely technical people, because we will be going pretty deep in uh, some of the operating system concepts, programming concepts, and how Git is basically how those concepts are backbone for Git, understanding Git. So yeah, let's get started. In a nutshell, uh, when I say Git is an application that does distributed version control. Now, trust me with this definition. When I I basically look at this definition back in 2019. I was one of, I would say, the technology guy who carry the technical baggage. So I have seen centralized version control system like VSS, Visual Source Safe, Tortoise SVN. I'm not sure how many of you have heard this name. I think Guru, I am sure he has heard this name, Tortoise SVN or Perforce. But rest of you all, I don't know whether you have heard this name before or not. They are basically a centralized version control systems. And when we work on any version control, we actually get used to of it, and then हम ऐसे सोचते हैं कि मार्केट में टूल्स आके जाते रहते हैं. So there is a git tool, and this is almost similar to what we have learned so far. We just need to have different commands. So that was thinking I used to carry, and the understanding was pretty surface level. And I think then I started uh, working on git, and it's working good for me. But when the situation arrives at my project in Bunnings is at Australia. It is around we are around 250 developers working across geographically, and one wrong rebase, one wrong commit, literally bring down the entire I would say production system. And trust me, if you are working from Java, C, C++, or .NET background, you still have a I would say relatively safe because these are languages are compiled and you get compile time error. But language such as Ruby, Python, or JavaScript, they are interpreted language. And without any thinking, I have directly merged into the production branch. And yeah, things went horribly wrong. So if I need to understand this definition now, ideally, I would start with a famous quote by Einstein that any fool can know, but the point is to understand. And this is something I have learned very hard way. And that is actually, I would say, a trigger for starting Git and GitHub sessions myself, so that I can protect my colleagues, doing those mistakes on the production side. So to understand this definition, we need to break down this Git into the two parts. So first part is Git is an application that does distributed version control. Have two critical parts. One is understanding what is Git as an application, and then understanding what is Git as distributed version control. So to first understand Git as an application, we first need to understand what an application really means, right? So we'll start with that. Uh, so source code again, as I said, language doesn't matter. The reason I'm showing you C, C++ here is because Git is created in C language. When you write a source code in C language or C++ language, once you compile it, and then after compilation you assemble it. So compilation will convert your source code into the assembly level language or assembly language, and then you will have assembler which will convert that your code into binary. So basically .object file, and then once you link the source code, or link the object file, or you uh, sorry when you once you link run the process of the linking, basically you will get the executable file. So this is more of a similar process for across platforms, be it a Linux, be it a Mac. Only thing is the exe is the executable format for Windows. And since all of us mostly are pretty much well versed with Windows, that's the reason I've chosen Windows as a platform. So this is what an application means. And when you actually run the application, so once you write source code, compile, assemble it, and link it, and when you actually run the application, it becomes a process. So high level, that process, I would say this is a high level layout of RAM. The initial part of address space in the RAM occupied by your kernel, you can call it as an operating system, and then depending on the what are the processes that you run on your system. So this will be a Git. Since we are all here on browser, so there will be browser. I would say PowerPoint, uh, Zoom meeting. So all those running process, they will have some kind of footprint into your RAM, right? So again, I will go through a simple Hello World demo, which is pretty much required. It is not rocket science. Even if you don't have done programming before in your career, I will anyway gonna explain what I'm going to run. So let me start the VS Code. We'll just quickly do a simple Hello World demo. I hope my screen is still visible, VS Code. Is there any way I can hide this? Let me hide this. Yeah. So as I said, it just sample or simple application. What I'm doing is I'm just printing hello world. Let me do one thing. Let me comment out some code so that it will be purely. So I'm just printing hello world, some bunch of new lines, and I will explain this anyway. All right. So let's quickly run this code. I will zoom in a bit. I hope these fonts look okay. I have already written the build script for this application. So what I'm doing is I'm basically using cl.exe, which is an application or tool from Microsoft for compilation and linking. So cl.exe with this /c flag will compile this application or hello world application into the object file. So compile and link both. So not compile and assemble, and then linking is basically converting it into the executable. Since I have commented this code, I need to compile and build it again. So we'll just run build.bat. If you see this hello world, right? So nothing fancy in this application, just to be in the context what is an application means. But this is very important in terms of understanding it. So what I'll do, I will just put one more \n just to get this into the new line. So now you can see this is now onto the new line, right? If you are able to see this, I have run this exe. So in any language, doesn't matter. Ultimately, as long as it's an application, somebody will call main function for you, right? So in this application, what is happening is the first line hash include stdio.h is basically referenced for this printf function because we didn't write this printf function. This printf function is provided by C language library. So to to have this, we need to include this uh, std.h file, and then you can have uh, any uh, definition of main function. So, for example, you can comment this as well, and you can write this way. It doesn't matter. The only thing is, even if you write this way, operating system gonna call internally this guy only. So, understanding this definition is that if you want to customize, so if you want to take some decision based on passing some parameters, for that's the reason we have this facility from the, I would say, language creators. So you don't call main function, right? When you run an application, this get automatically called by your operating system. So if you want to customize, then you have to pass some additional arguments, additional parameters, so that you can basically tap those parameters in your program, and then you can subsequently do some different tasks based on what kind of parameters have been passed. So by default, if you don't pass any parameter, your program name becomes a default parameter. So if you are able to see this, I haven't passed any parameter to this executable. So in that case, this name becomes your default command line parameter, right? So program name is default parameter, and then whatever you pass to it, and that parameter you can basically tap or intercept from your main function. So what we will do right now is, let's uncomment this. Since I have modified the code, I need to again compile and build. So what I'm doing is, I'm going to pass some additional parameters while running this program, and then the other parameter. So parameter will be basically collected into this array, and this is nothing but the environment variables. So in case if you have ever installed Python, Java, .NET on your system, generally you used to set up a environment variable called path. So this array will give me all the environment variables configured in my system, right? So wherever this program going to run, from that system, whatever environment variables are configured, those are going to pass the this program. So I will quickly again build this. If you can see, these are the environment. These are the top 20 environment variable configured in my system. Why top 20? Because I have kept a loop over here. So just give me top 20. I don't want to iterate over all the environment variables. So in current scenario, we haven't basically passed any customized argument or any custom arguments to our process or to our program, and that's the reason this the default argument is still 1. The count is still 1. So how I can pass the argument to it? It's pretty simple and straightforward. Just to CLS. Rather, I would directly call exe because, okay, so let's do one thing. Normally those who have already worked on Git or already working on Git, you generally do this thing, like git add or commit or push. These these are the normal commands that you interact when you are using Git, or let's say maybe you start with git init. Okay. So if I count the total number of parameters or arguments to this command is, by default, your program becomes the first argument, and then you need to call total number of spaces. So this is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So I am passing almost 5 arguments to my program, and one is the default one, right? So, so first argument is always your program name, and then I have passed this additional parameters, right? Now you can ask, like, what is the synonymity or what is the similarity between this program and Git, or rather, this is applicable to all command line applications that you have worked on. For example, if you are a DevOps engineer, you might know Terraform, you might aware of Ansible. If you are from AWS or Azure GCP background, you have worked with command line shell. So AWS configure, AWS S3 create. So they are nothing but the command line parameters, right? So learn one thing in a way that it is applicable to across all the technology stack, right? So be any damn command line application is going to work similar way. The only difference is, so if I type git over here, Git is also giving you a bunch of statement, right? I can say these are nothing but the bunch of printf statement, but they are not hello world, right? And certainly it shouldn't be hello world because Git is a developer experience tool. This is used for version control, right? So when you create such kind of an application, then that is basically the customer of this application are programmers, developers, or DevOps professionals. So what they would need? They would need the documentation or help, and that is what Git is doing. Rather, any application that you uh, basically work on, And if it's any whether it's a developer experience tool or whether it's a business value added tool, it will give you some kind of documentation that how you can use that tool, right? And when we say tool, I can say this is syntax, this is, I would say, ways of working of that tool, grammar of that tool. So this is pretty much common for all command line applications or command line interfaces that you interact with. So what is the similarity? So if I don't pass any argument, I am also printing hello world. I'm also printing the total number of arguments this program takes. And where I'm passing some arguments, like I have did in the this case. So when I'm passing these arguments, I'm intercepting it into this loop, and I'm just printing what is the argument index and the value. But in case of Git or in case of Terraform or in case of AWS command line, they are taking certain action based on what kind of flag or what kind of argument you are passing, right? Are we okay till this part? Is it okay? Is it going good? Just type one, or I will just take a pause. Okay, great. If you are understanding so far, just type one. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask before we go to the second part of Git. So as per definition, why we are looking into this is, as I said, right, we need to understand, we need to understand Git as an application. So for that, we have to understand what an application really means. Again, language doesn't matter. The reason I have choose C because Git is crediting to C language, and that's just to align with the demo and presentation. I have chosen C language, right? So now, with this, what we can do is we will close the VS Code and we'll go back to our PPT. So this first part is we have understood, okay, there is nothing pretty difference between a normal Hello World application and Git application. It just based on the parameters or based on the arguments, Git has customized it into the commands, right? So it's pretty easy. You can also write Git as a application as long as you understand bit of file system of operating system, bit of hashing, and some other concepts of version control. And this is not with respect to Git, as I said, right? It can be applicable to any damn command line application, right? The second part is understanding high-level architecture of distributed version control, right? And this, though we are considering Git in this context, but this is going to again applicable for any damn version control which have been already been utilized, worked upon, outdated, or those who would be coming into the future as well. So आज I would say 2006 से Git पे Git launch हुआ है, and I would say still very much dominant in the IT industry. That's the reason I have taken the example of Git. But this diagram is pretty much applicable to any version control that you are going to work upon in future as well. Right. So this would be a very important diagram for all of us for next hour. I will zoom in a bit. I think this is good. Right. So this layer, top layer, right? So consider this as an onion. I think most of you, if you're from computer background, you might have this lesson in your academics about operating system. And if I need to represent this diagram as an operating system, then this guy become hardware or kernel. Let's call it hardware. If that guy is hardware, then the next circle will be a kernel or OS, because the job of kernel is to abstract, hardware from you. And then the third circle will be shell, because you don't have directly access to kernel. You have to go via some kind of application, and most likely it's a shell. And then on top of that, these are user applications. So here, what I mean, it can be a PPT, PowerPoint, Zoom, browser. They are at this level, right? So this is very much we have learned into our academics. So why not we apply this visualization to Git or any version control? So what I've done is uh, at this level, uh, the outer circle, I call this as onion architecture. So outer circle is distributed version control. Now, this layer is basically where we are right now. So it will be your GitHub. Some might be working on GitLab. I don't find any difference, to be honest. These are just providers for me. Yes, there are some syntactical difference. There are some, I would say, architectural trade-off. But ultimately, they are same. Hosting Git somewhere which I don't have access. GitLab, even Bitbucket. So I'm just naming what I have worked on. There may be many. I haven't worked on all of them. Azure repos, then I would say AWS code commit, and in GCP, I guess Google Source Control Manager, Google SCM, something like that. I'm not too sure about it, but there would be some kind of offering from GCP as well. So these are the, we call it distributed version control. So we normally operate on this layer. Now, what we need to do is, since we are here to understand uh, how Git works and not just firing Git commands, though we are going to fire some Git commands, but those specific for building some understanding. So then we need to peel off this onion, right? So to peel off this onion, what we need to do is we need to do certain assumptions. So if we need to get rid of this layer, the distributed version control, then I need to look into the meaning, right? So डिस्ट्रीब्यूटेड का एक नाइव मीनिंग जो मुझे पता है, हिंदी में उसको समूह बोल सकते हैं, राइट? समूह और कम्युनिटी. तो we generally call as distributed systems, right, or cluster. So distributed का meaning cluster of machines or cluster of anything, right? Community can be a distributed, any damn thing with a more than one or two people. I would say it's a distributed thing for now. So if I say distributed means cluster, samuha, community, in that case, what I need to do is, if I need to get rid of this onion layer, अगर मुझे इसको निकालना है तो फिर मुझे क्या करना पड़ेगा? I need to assume that in this whole world, I am my machine or my laptop, my desktop is the only machine in this world. So basically, decouple or isolate ourselves from internet. So that way, uh, we can say we are not distributed anymore, right? So distributed version control, right? Distributed का हमने ये part हटा दिया, distributed part. Then it comes to a version control. अभी version control सीखने के लिए हम यहाँ पे है, right? To know version control, to understand version control, what actually version control means. But एक high level अगर मुझे ये layer से गुजरना है, अगर ये layer मुझे निकालना है, तो in that case, I can give a day-to-day life example. तो version control के case में uh, since we are born, right? I was born in 1984. So since the time I was born, I have been basically I have been crawling, uh, try to stand up, falling down. Somehow I get stand up, running, right? Then I go to school, education, high school, right? College, heartbreak, job, and then marriage. I become father, right? So overall, these years, our understanding become pretty mature, right? So basically, we know what to say, what not to say, when to say. So what we can say is, right from my birth, I'm I'm a better version of myself. Whether it can be better or not, that's a different thing. But I'm a different version of myself, right? So this is very much common. Even if you are going to scenic places or natural places, then you generally get to click some photographs. So if you are taking some picture and then you, let's say, you are not saving it as a copy, and then you are adding some flavors to it. For example, you are doing grayscale, or you are applying some blur, some filter. In that case, what you are doing is you are basically changing the state of that photograph. And if you are just saving it and you are not saving a copy, then there is no way to go back the original photograph, right? Similarly, uh, in our life, whatever we have done from our birth to till date, we might have uh, we have some uh, appreciation, uh, proud for some moments in our life. We have some regrets as well, right? But we can just have those regrets. We cannot go back and fix those things, right? So if I feel that I was YD in the college, and it has drastically impacted my career, but there is no way I can go back and reattempt the second year exam to get rid of all the that negative stuff, right? I have to accept and I have to improvise myself from the current moment. Fortunately, in virtual world or in software world, we have this control, right? In real world, we don't have that control to go back and improve or fix the things. But in virtual world, we have control. So that's the meaning, high level meaning of version control, right? So version means a change. Doesn't matter how big, how small. Version means change, and control means uh, go ability to go in that specific version, modify it again or change it again, right? So that is kind of control we have on the on our changes, right? What are changes we do in our source code or in the files. So if I have a control, so let's say in virtual world, if I have a control, in that case, it's very easy to peel off this layer by assuming that if I have control, that means somebody is tracking that. If somebody is not tracking, then it's very difficult to go back on that particular version, right? So that means somebody is tracking that for me. So this layer would be a content tracker. So what we're doing, we are peeling off the onion from distributed till persistence. And then we have a reason why we are doing this. Okay. That reason will uh, come to know, I would say, in an hour. But for now, just take it as a granted that here is the reason why we are doing this exercise. Because this is an architecture of Git. I would say architecture of distributed version control. The implementation can differ, algorithm can differ, trade-off can differ, but concepts will remain same. So that means here, if I need to go across to version control layer, that means if there is a control, one thing for sure for me, कोई तो भी मेरे लिए मेरा हर चेंज ट्रैक कर रहा है, राइट? ऐसा बोलते हैं कि हमारे लाइफ के सारे कर्म चित्रगुप्त इज द वन हु इज डूइंग वही खाता, राइट? सिमिलरली आप समझो कि कोई तो भी है वहां पे जो हमारे सारे चेंजेस ट्रैक कर रहा है. नाउ ट्रैकर इज वेरी very common word, right? Day to day work. I'm walking 10,000 steps a day, right? We have a smart watches nowadays. It tracks what you eat, your pulse, your heart rate, right? Oxygen and whatnot, right? We have seen this lot of just like a lot of trackers in COVID days. But then why content? So I agree. Most of you going to use version control to manage your source code. Now source code can be in any language of your choice, depending on the requirement in your company. It can be C, C++, Java, .NET, and so on, so forth, Python, you name it, we can have a source or code base in that language. But then why here we have mentioned content, why not source code tracker? And the reason is that almost 99% of the time you are going to use Git for this. Or if you are from DevOps background, you might use for YAML or Docker files or configuration like HCL, Terraform concurrent files. But what Git is saying is that I am not constrained only for this. So you can track PDF, you can track images, you can track documents, text documents, you can even track videos or movies. So Git is saying I don't have any constraint tracking only source code. I can I can track any type of files. And when you have such kind of tracking, then it becomes a content. So Git is rather in in terms, I would say, in context of Linus Torvalds, he called it as Git is nothing but the stupid content tracker. So why content? Because though we are going to track our source code, our pipelines, our YAML files, and so on and so forth, Git doesn't have such kind of any constraint. We can track anything, right? Then, if someone is tracking every change, every modification, every addition in our code base, in our directory, what it means is somebody is saving each and every change. So then uh, my gist or my curiosity should be how Git is storing the content. Because once I understood this, it will be an inside out learning rather than learning Git init, Git add, Git commit. Again, you have to learn this because you have to work with the code base. But it is a syntactical learning. And this kind of learning is understanding why we need to fire Git commands in that particular flow, in that particular order, right? And if we need to understand it, if we need to achieve some kind of excellence or mastery into it, then our journey should be from inside out. So with this, I will take a pause again. Are we going good? Uh, yes. Any questions so far? Is it okay? All good? Okay. Just type two, or you can ask question, because the next exercise would be so. I think this is the end of slideshow, to be honest. So now we are going to do full hands-on, and in hands-on, what we're gonna do is we need to understand how Git is storing the content for us. That would be our starting point, and in the course, this is our direction. So we will have every concept, every layer of this architecture in a piecemeal manner. Once we complete persistence, then we will get excited. It's normally in science world, when electron gets excited, it changes the orbit, right? So once we complete the persistence layer, we will get excited. We will emit light, and then we will change the orbit to content tracker layer. Again, we will understand something about content tracker layer. Again, we'll get excited. We'll jump back to version control, and then finally distributed version control. Now, hopefully, I will be able to complete persistence layer. I'm not sure. We'll see how it goes. Uh, so I just want uh, from all of you is that if at least how I just want to take a poll, how many of you are going to do the practical along with me? So just type three, those who are going to do practical along with me, so that I would know that you all have Git installed on your machine. At least I need a couple of people. Okay, that's okay. 2 to 3 people are enough. Okay, we have enough. So good. So the reason I want some people to follow me is because I can, verify the output. Nothing else. So not to judge anybody of you, just to verify the outputs. So what we need to do is, yeah, I actually expect that you are in Windows, you are on Windows laptop, and you will be using Git Bash. So Git Bash will be there if you have installed Git, if you are from any other operating system, there could be some challenge. Now, in the interest of time, I could not able to explain what those challenges would be, but just everyone to be on the same page. Please use Windows and Git Bash. There are some reasons behind it. Unfortunately, we don't have enough time to go into those reasons. So what you need to do, you need to create new directory. Yeah, that's okay. That's completely fine there. So create a directory, for example, git underscore, let's say today's date, 02/05/26. And then we need to go into that directory. Sorry. Yes. Nothing. These are the different batches I had taken. So, or workshops, I would say. So I hope everybody is at this layer. What I will do, I will just copy paste command. You don't need to create the same directory. It's your choice. It's just those who are not familiar with the Linux command, uh, just to make their life simple. Now, what is our, I would say, what is our goal from the today's session? Let me hide this. The goal from the today's session is to understand the persistence layer, or to try to query persistence layer, how Git actually stores the content. And while uh, demoing this, or while doing the practical on this layer, we will have answer to one critical question. And that question I have been asked into the GitHub. So GitHub के इंटरव्यू में जो क्वेश्चन पूछा था, उस क्वेश्चन का आंसर वैसा क्यों है, that is something what we are going to understand, right? So हम हमेशा for any program we start with hello world, right? जो शुरुआत जो श्री गणेशा होता है हर एक प्रोग्राम का, we start with hello world. So the goal is to store hello world into the Git. Okay, this is our goal. So if Git can store hello world, then I will be super confident about Git, so that it can store all the my critical algorithms built into the C, C++, .NET, Python, Java in any language, or my fail-proof pipelines, YAML pipelines, or infrastructure as a code, which is HCL-based files from the Terraform side, right? But for that, my very small ask to Git is, I would like to store hello world into you. That is my small ask to understand this persistence mechanism from the Git architecture. So for that, so those who have already worked on Git, right? In Git, there are two types of commands. So normally those who work on Git, they work on this type of commands like git, init, add, commit, push, pull, right? Those who have worked, those who didn't work, that's completely okay, right? But जिन्होंने काम किया उनको पता है कि these are roughly the commands they fire when they interact with Git. Now these commands are regular commands. These are the regular commands in Git, or in terms of Git they call it as a porcelain commands. My spelling can go wrong. So in English, uh, the naive meaning of porcelain is a ceramic bowl. That's what porcelain means. But in the real world English language, it is called as a commode. So Git called as a commode, right? So yes, this is pretty shitty terminology. That portion commands. So basically, Linux Torvalds has given this analogy that this is a commode. So in normal case, in every day-to-day routine, we use toilet. We know. I don't need to explain why do we use commode, right? But if that commode is not working, or it is leaking, or it's choked, right? Then we call some specialist, and that specialist called as a plumber, right? So Git has a other type of command called plumbing commands. Trust me, without plumbing commands, you will not able to work with Git. So every porcelain commands internally called plumbing command, and that's actually also true in a real life, right? Uh, Underneath commode or loo, there is some kind of piping, right? Without piping, the waste would not be flushed out, right? So there has to be some kind of piping, and piping requires plumbing, right? So why I'm covering this, because in order to uh, explore how Git store the objects, this will not help you much. These commands. So we have to go through plumbing part of Git commands. So for that, we will see the very first plumbing command. So what I will do is I will type the command, and then I will also type into the chat box. So those who have worked in Git, uh, are they already across this command? Those who have worked in Git so far, have you explored this command before? Git hash object. जिन्होंने पोल पे गिट में काम किया है, उनके लिए क्वेश्चन है. Great. That's good then. Then we will explore something. Guru, I know you have explored. Yeah, जिन्होंने नहीं किया है, well and good. So type this command, and the output should be blank. Okay. So just type this command. I hope you have created some directory of your choice, and when you run this command, there should be blank output. Okay. So run this command and let me know how many of you are getting that blank output. That means it's successful. So type 1, just to those who are working on Git Bash, just type 1 if you have run this command, git hash object, and type 1 if you get a blank output. Ideally, you should get blank output. Okay, Ravi, thank you, Ravi, for confirming. Anybody else who is okay? Guru, great. Okay, great. So we are all together in this, right? Now I know this is the plumbing command to write something inside Git, right? Or this is something related to Git persistence, right? So the way we are going to learn is we will do deliberately some mistake. We will read the errors, we'll reason with them, and then we will find some solution. Okay. So that is how normally we conduct the batches. So I know that I'm going to do deliberate mistake. So what I want, my goal is to store hello world, right? I will again copy paste this uh, so that you would be working along with me. Yes, try to execute. Let me know what is the error. जिन्होंने git bash open किया है, for them, just type this and let me know what is the error. Right. Thank you, Ashish, for confirming. Anybody else? Okay. Thank you, Guru. Yes. We will take a few more responses, those who are following along. Yeah, it should be same. Yes. Okay, great. Same. Okay. So from the error itself, it is super clear that this again the reason why I have taken the program first, right? Git is an application. There was reason behind it, right? So let's connect the dot. Git is an application. Hash object is or anything else other than Git is a command line arguments, right? That's the reason I have taken that application. Okay, nothing else. So anything beside Git here, because Git is an application and we are passing some command line argument, right? And those command line arguments will take some action as as per the commands we have fired, right? Now, from the error, it is super clear that this hash object command in Git is expecting some kind of file or directory. Okay, so this hash object is expecting some kind of file or directory. That means I need to either write hello world in some file and then send it to Git hash object. That's a one way, right? But I don't want to do that, right? Then there would be no fun. So what I would do is, जब घी सीधी हाथ से या सीधी उंगली से नहीं निकलता, we need to उंगली टेढ़ी करनी पड़ती है, right? So what we'll do, we know some Linux command. If you don't know, I'm still gonna explain. Even I'm as much as novice like you in Linux. My most of the experience is into Windows side because of .NET. But some commands I have seen. So echo is very straightforward. I echo you. I second you, or I echo your opinion. So whatever you give it to echo, it will give you back. So that means I know with the echo command, whatever I'm giving to echo, it will give me back. I will use this echo command to send to git hash object. So we need to understand what is this. So this is bar. We can in English it's called bar, but in Linux this is called as a pipe. So pipe is a system call in Linux, right? Those who are not from technical background, uh, assume our regular pipe, right? The pipe we use for watering the plants. So we all know pipe has two ends, right? So this pipe also has two ends. One is a left end and one is a right end, right? What this pipe is gonna do? Imagine if you are watering the plant, what's gonna happen? One end of your pipe is towards your tap, right? Towards your tap, and the other end of the pipe is towards your plant, right? This is your plant. My drawing is extremely terrible, but imagine this is a plant, right? And you are watering this plant. What's gonna happen? You will take the water from left side, and those water will flow down to the into the plant. Similarly, the output of echo hello world will go from this pipe and will available for the git program. Isn't it simple? Yes. You don't need to go into technical how pipe is opening file descriptors and all, right? Just making it in simple layman terms, right? So I want you to run this command and tell me the output. I will again copy. Yeah. So run this command and tell me the output. Blank. आशीष ने कंफर्म किया है ब्लैंक है. रवि ओके ग्रेट. रवि ने नथिंग. ओके ग्रेट. ओके देयर आर टू आशीष. गुड. ठीक है. As expected, that's what I was expecting. It should be blank, right? Now we need to understand what actually have happened, because there has been a lot of uh, events, or I would say very marvelous things happened behind the scene. So for that, we need to understand uh, this entire flow by visualizing this. Okay, so what I will do, I will visualize this with the help of this diagram. Okay, so again consider this as RAM. Okay, we have to visualize the entire workflow of these commands. So imagine this is a RAM, okay, and as usual, RAM, the OS is there, right? And then when we run this command echo hello world, right? So what I will do, I will use blue. So this is your program name as echo, right? This is your echo program, and we have passed hello world as an input to this guy. Let's say some string we have. I am using shortcut, not homework. Hello world. HW is hello world, right? When this program executed this command, what it did is it did save hello world. Let's say somewhere in this area. Don't ask me why, because it is altogether OS part. Okay, I don't want to go into this. So for now, just take it granted that this hello world is stored into this part of the area, and then this program gets evicted out of memory. This is very much important. Huh? This program gets evicted out of memory. Why? Because the work is completed, and then Git come into the picture. Sorry, my bad. I will use yellow. The Git come into the picture because we are piping, right? So the right side of the pipe where we are watering the plant. So assume Git is plant over here. So Git has now taken input hello world, taken this input as a hello world. That's it. It is taken, but and then after that, Git is also evicted out of memory. So what actually happened is Git has just executed hash object. Input is passed to the Git, but Git haven't processed it. So if you have compare few minutes back, we have run this command git hash object. We got a blank output. We have run this command now. Again, we have blank output. So basically, even though hello world executed, hello world passed to Git, Git has dropped the ball. Git has dropped the ball, and that's the reason we have seen the blank output. Are we super clear this so far? Any questions? Yes. Why it is blank? उसके ऊपर हमने बात की है. Why the output is blank? Yeah, little. Yeah, tell me, Ashish, where you dropped the ball. We are going to. I will come to that part. Ankit, I will come to that part, right? Let's focus on. So right now we are discussing why this output is exactly similar like this. The reason is Git dropped the ball. Again, this is very incorrect statement. Git dropped the ball, but okay. For now, we will say this Git dropped the ball. So this command executed perfectly fine. So this is a tap water. Water tap is on. Water has been flown to Git नाम का प्लांट के लिए पानी गया है, but somehow Git dropped the ball. Now we need to understand why it has happened, right? So पहली बात उस डायग्राम में जिस डायग्राम में मैंने ऐसे निकाला था, right? And then I was saying कि echo आया and then Git आया and जब उनका काम खत्म हुआ तो सबसे पहले echo evicted out of memory and then Git evicted out of memory. ये कौन से बेसिस पे हुआ है? And that's the reason we need to understand what an application means. The reason I have taken the program is to connect these dots that I'm going to show you, right? So if you go back to, oh, sorry, I have closed Visual Studio, my bad. If you go back to the program here, and this is again for any damn command line application. So when you done with the execution of main function, this is you have written the last statement. Whether you write it or not, by default, if your command, if your function execution is without any error, this is going to execute at the last, right? So 0 is nothing but successful status of the program. So when you return from it, this is where operating system come to know that this program has done its work, and then it gets evicted out of memory. This statement is that statement where I have explained to you that both the programs echo and git are evicted out of memory after execution, right? But and then we also seen why the output is blank as well, because this water has been go to the plant, but somehow it is dropped somewhere. Now why it is dropped? That the reason is, when we have fired this command, we got one critical insight, that git hash object requires some kind of input, and that input is in the form of file or directory. But here again, we have given input, right? This output of this command is given as an input, but git doesn't know that you have passed it as an input, right? So how we can explain git that it was an input for you? So for that, we need to tell git you are going to receive input in standard input, not a proper file, not a proper file by hello world or any .txt file. You will be going to receive input from the standard input. So what is this std in? So those who are aware of operating system, or who have some knowledge or scripting knowledge on Linux, you generally do this is what you do, right? Redirection of the output into the file. Then you do this, for example, a word count, and then you have some hello.txt file. So this is, you are asking input, right? And then if this program not work pretty well, then you have something like this, which is an error. So there are three important file. There can be a device files in Linux, which is std out. This is std out file, and this is regardless of whether you are on Linux or Windows. So this is for across operating system के गिफ्ट है जो हर प्रोग्राम को मिलते हैं. These are operating system goodies, swag. आपको जो बोलना है उसको बोल सकते हो. These are three important files: std out, std in, and std error. These are three important files that operating system provide to any program. दुनिया का कोई भी प्रोग्राम हो उसको ये तीन फाइल का एक्सेस रहता है. Rather, these are the three files open right since your kernel gets booted or kernel gets loaded basically. तो फिर ये मुझे बताना पड़ेगा to git that you are not going to get file as an actual file. You have to read it from std in, which is a device file, standard input file. So now if I copy this and give it back to you, now tell me what is the output. Again, error or output? Okay, at least we got now output from Ashish. Anybody else? Okay, Ankit, great. Pratik, awesome. Even for me, it is just the same. So this time, at least we got some output, not blank, not error, right? We got something out of it. Now, next half an hour, we need to focus what this weird characters all about. Okay. Yes. Any questions so far? Excited? Yes, no. Any questions? ठीक है, चलो. Yes, Ashish, you will get output. Fill some kind of encoding. That's what we are going to now. Every doubt will be clear. Trust me on this. Okay. So to understand this, we need to again look into some concept in the programming called hashing. Okay. So without it, understanding Git can never happen. So if you don't know hashing, or if we don't understand hashing, then we are just scratching the surface of it, right? So as somebody said, it is some kind of encoded form. I would say it is a hash key. So what I will do first, I will take an example from like non-technical layman word, and then we'll go bit of technical into this part. Okay, I'm not good in the programming. I'm not good into the DSA. So hashing is a kind of algorithm that we need to know if you have familiar with data structure algorithms. But at least I know the hashing on functional level, and it is pretty much important. Even at least if you are into DevOps world and you don't know programming, ideally that's not an option. Regardless of which part of field you are, you should have some technical understanding or some understanding of programming, though not DSA level. But what is happening behind the scenes, that is something we need to understand right now. And is extremely critical whether you come to batch or not. This is extremely important to understand what is happening behind the scene, and this will help us to crack one of the interview question asked in GitHub. Okay, that is the sole purpose of having this session. So, what is this hash object, right? हमने क्या किया है hash object समझ के, या hash object execute करके हमने क्या किया है, right? So again, object is pretty I would say high level word or day to day life word, right? Even we are an object, right? We are an object of humankind, right? So we in our programming we have classes and objects. हम बहुत very common term, right? Objects are nothing but entity, right? We are the object of humankind, right? Or animal, what we can call it is, right? So object is pretty clear. Printer, computer, laptop are objects in layman terms. But then why this hash? ये hash क्या है, right? So everybody got this some key, right? Our goal was to store hello world, but we got something else. ठीक है, हमें कुछ अलग ही मिला hello world के बदले में. तो बट ये एग्जैक्टली क्या मिला है? तो कहीं ना कहीं ये हैश है. आई कैन डिराइव दिस फ्रॉम दिस कमांड. तो देन व्हाट इज हैश? हैश होता क्या है, राइट? सो हैश इज अ फंक्शन. कोई जो भी बिहेवियर है, और उस बिहेवियर को क्या लगता है, पहले फंक्शन लेवल पे समझते हैं व्हाट इज हैशिंग, एंड देन आई विल कम टू लेमन टर्म्स. सो हैश इज अ फंक्शन, और फंक्शन अगर है तो that function will take some input. The function will process it. Processing means some kind of algorithm, and then it will give some output. This is the bare minimum essential definition of hashing. And if in layman terms, this is very easy to understand as well. So everybody has bank account, right? So some of us also have the locker in the bank, right? So in the bank we have locker system, right? And most of us, our grandparents or parents deposit gold, silver, documents, wheel papers, ornaments, jewelry, whatnot, right? That we put safe into the bank or locker. And when we put our essential documents or essential ornaments, jewelry, or value, the objects which we value, this bank give us back something. The bank give us back a key, right? We get some key from the bank. Yes or no? ये बहुत लेमन एग्जांपल है. ऐसा कोई है कि जिसने कभी भी बैंक में लॉकर होता है यही पता नहीं? आई डोंट थिंक सो कि ऐसा कोई होगा आप में से, राइट? सो वी हैव बैंक, वी हैव लॉकर, एंड लॉकर हैव अ की, राइट? सो here how this example fits here, you have your white money, black money, cryptocurrency. This hello world is our, what we call it as a, let's say, gold, silver, cryptocurrency, black money, white money. We are going to deposit into the बैंक नोन एज गिट. गिट नाम के बैंक में हम डिपॉजिट कर रहे हैं इसको, एंड गिट इज प्रोवाइडिंग अस अ की बैक. सो व्हेनेवर यू कम विद द की, आई विल प्रोवाइड यू, आई गारंटी आई प्रोवाइड यू दिस बैक. इज इट easy to understand? Yes. Is this making sense now? I can see drop in the count, but that's I'm used to of. But is it making sense now? Okay. So hashing is a function which takes some input and convert it into the some key. ठीक है, तो ये की हमको मिल गई है. Yes, hold your question. I will come to that as well. Ki why key is same for all of us? Yes, I'm coming to that point. So first, this key is of 40 characters. Uh, I didn't count, but since this is my 25th batch, I know it is of 40 characters. If you carefully observe the key, none of the character is above F. So that means this key is hexadecimal key. I am just deducing some critical information out of that key. So that key is a hexadecimal key. So in hashing, regardless of your input, you will get fixed size character output key. And fixed size, ये जो fixed size है, how it is decided? That size is decided based on which algorithm, which hashing algorithm you have used. This key is decided by which kind of hashing algorithm you have used. So in Git case, Git is using algorithm called SHA-1. So there are different mechanism of hashing. It started with MD5. There are different algorithms of hashing. Started with MD5, now SHA-1, SHA-256, SHA-512. There are a lot of algorithms or a lot of variants, right? Git is using SHA-1. So SHA-1 algorithm is of 160-bit. Why 160-bit? So when we say hexadecimal character, one hexadecimal character requires 4 bit to represent. One hexadecimal character requires 4 bit to represent. So for example, if I need to represent 0, it will be 0000. And for F, it will be 1111. So this is 0 and this is F. Right? So if I divide 160 by 4, I get 40 as an answer. So why it's 40? Because Git have used SHA-1 for hashing, and that's the reason the size of the entire key is 40 hexadecimal characters. Yes, the size of the key is 40 hexadecimal characters. Are we good so far? Yes. Are we good so far? I'm just seeing drop in the counts. That's the reason I would like to take a pause and ask, are we going good so far? Any questions? I already answered SHA-1 type of hashes. So our next question should be, so why MD5 wasn't there? Why MD5 hasn't been used? Yeah, आजकल MD5 क्यों नहीं चलता है? The reason is कि MD5 has a collision. There are some issues with the sorry, remove O. There are some challenges with the MD5 that it has a issues with respect to collision. So Mohit, what this new word, what is collision means? Just to understand the concept, what I will do is I will type a word. Let's say word is hello. Okay, word is hello. And if I need to write hashing algorithm for this, right? फिलहाल हम बाजू में रखते हैं कि SHA-1 करना है, कैसे हैश करना है. लेट्स मेक इट सिंपल कस्टम एल्गोरिथम कि इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में जो लेटर है, द पोजीशन ऑफ द लेटर, व्हाट वी विल यूज दैट पोजीशन फॉर द एल्गोरिथम. तो इसका मतलब एच इज 8th लेटर, ई इज ABCDEFGH, ई इज 5th लेटर, एल इज 12th लेटर. राइट? हमने हैशिंग को फिलहाल साइड में रखा है, हम हमारा खुद का हैशिंग एल्गोरिथम लिख रहे हैं. राइट? एंड दैट इज हाई लेवल की द पोजीशन ऑफ दैट लेटर इन इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज. right? This you can count a equal to 1, b equal to 2, and so on and so forth. E 5 पे आएगा, h 8 पे आएगा, right? And if I do addition of this 12 12 24 और 15 39 और 13 52, right? So what we get is 52. With me so far? Yes. अगर मुझे हेलो को एक सिंपल हैशिंग में कन्वर्ट करना है तो मैं क्या करूंगा? एक कस्टम एल्गोरिथम जो सबसे आसान हो समझने के लिए. So I have taken the position of that letter in the English language, and then I just basically sum it up. So for me, hello equal to 52. This is a hash. This is the key for hello, right? Now, if I type something like this, what will be the output? What will be the output? With respect to the same algorithm, what will be the output? It will be again same 52, right? But look at this. This is different data and this is the different data. So I have two different data points, but I have same output, and this is nothing but the collision. So such kind of issue was in MD5 algorithm, MD5 hashing algorithm. Just to explain what is collision, that's the reason I have taken this example, right? इतने simple algorithm नहीं रहता है because they are created by mathematicians. Hashing algorithms, so there is altogether different work stream in computer science called security and cryptography. And with the strong mathematics formulas, these algorithms get created. Okay? But we need to understand at very raw level what is the collision, why Git has chosen not MD5 but SHA1. Yes, clear है सबको यहाँ तक? Are we good? You can please feel free to unmute. Okay, completely fine if this is going above. Completely okay. Just stay with the moment. Everything is going to be clear. Okay. Okay. So now I figured out why SHA1. Okay. So then the idea would be taking this key to Git and asking, give me my hello world back. Yes, that was our main goal, right? To store Git, to store hello world into the Git. And if he is able to store hello world, then only I'm going to trust in Git that it is going to provide me. This is I will gonna trust for my production source code, my production pipelines for DevOps. Yes. Should we go? Should we go ahead? Yes. आगे चलना है. Any questions? अगर आपको कुछ भी ऐसा लगता है, slightest doubt, please feel free to ask. Please feel free to unmute and ask. Completely okay if we are not getting everything, but that's how we need to understand, right? Learning is pretty easy. Firing command is easy. Understanding takes time, right? It is not going to complete in 1 or 2 hours. Yes. So understanding will take time. It will not be it will not be superficial. It will not be a surface level. We have to dig deep into inside. ठीक है, चलो बढ़ते हैं आगे. Thank you for feedback. So हमने एक प्लम्बिंग कमांड देखा for how to save. अब we need to go into ask, give me my valuable gold silver ornament. हमारे केस में ये gold silver क्या है? Hello world है. So give me back. I'm now going to come up with this key file. Okay, but before that we need to understand हम कौन से फंक्शन को हैशिंग फंक्शन करें. कौन सा फंक्शन हैशिंग फंक्शन कहलाता है? What are the criterias? What are the bare minimum requirements to call any function as hashing function? So there are 4 criterias. First criteria is the output key should be always unique. Output key is always unique. Unique. Second is uh, from the output key. From the output key, you should not able to derive what was the input. ठीक है. अभी आपको मैंने ये की दिखाई है, इसीलिए आपको पता है कि दिस इज keys is related to hello world, right? But if I haven't shared my screen and if I given you this key, you will never able to know that this key is somehow related to hello world, right? So which are the important criteria for hashing? Output key should be unique. Output key equal is output should from the output key we should not able to derive what was input has been passed. Number three, slightest change in input will give you new output key. Any smallest change in input will give you new output key. अगर भरोसा नहीं है तो just make h small. हेलो वर्ल्ड में का जो h है वही कमांड फायर करो, हेलो वर्ल्ड में का h स्मॉल करके देखो एंड देन टेल मी व्हाट इज द आउटपुट नाउ. ठीक है. So again, slightest change in the input will give you new output key. And the last, hashing is one way operation. और ये लास्ट पॉइंट को कवर करने के लिए मोर देन आवर लगेगा मुझे. हैशिंग इज वन वे ऑपरेशन, बट in the interest of time, I will not able to cover it. Maybe we will see this last point tomorrow. But hashing is one way operation. तो ये चार कंस्ट्रेंट जो फंक्शन थरोली फॉलो करता है उस फंक्शन को हम हैशिंग फंक्शन बुलाते हैं, या उस फंक्शन के एल्गोरिथम को हम हैशिंग एल्गोरिथम बुला सकते हैं. यस. So these are the four criterias of having hashing function. एक काम करते हैं, let's do change this h small. Look at the key. A drastic change, right? Have you tried this? Have anybody tried this? Just by changing a capital H to small h, you will get altogether different key. Yes. We'll just stop the screen. Any questions, guys? Is it too overwhelming? समझ में नहीं आ रहा है? Feel free to unmute. No worries, we'll slow down. There is no rush. Understanding is what actually matters. Okay, so at least it's going good for Abhijit. What about rest? From 19 people, we dropped to close to 11. So just wanted to confirm. Feel free to interrupt and ask. Okay? If something doesn't clear, I'm happy to provide more examples. Completely okay with that. Okay? So without any hesitation, do interrupt me. We'll again share the screen then. Okay. So now we have so far seen just one simple plumbing command called git hash object. अब मुझे क्या करना है? Now this time I want to retrieve my content. Yes, I want to retrieve my content so that I will get back my hello world. ठीक है? So for that we have a new command called git cat file. Those who are familiar with Linux, there is a command called cat which help you to concatenate, right? So git has kept it very similar to cat command. It put cat file, and cat file just take one flag called -p. P is for pretty print, and then we need to pass this key. I'm I still no, I'm still aware that Pratik has asked one question. Why this is same for all of you, right? And trust me, this is not right time to answer that question. We'll answer that question much later in the course because we need we need to create our preparation to reach to that answer. We are not ready for that yet. Okay. So now type this and tell me whether you got hello world or not. Your hello world should be back. You should get hello world back. Ashish got the error. Anybody else who get their hello world back? Or those who are working with Ashish, they are okay. Pratik is there. Okay, so Pratik and Ashish got the same error. What about Ravi? Is Ravi in the Ravi is there? Ravi Jagtap, Pratik. Okay, Pratik has answered. Ravi Jagtap, same. Okay, yes, right. Okay, good. So same error, right? Whether I would clear it, and I have already said right. We will deliberately do the mistake and then reason about the error. Those who have worked on the gate, they have faced this error at least some time in their career. जिन्होंने गिट पे काम किया उनको इस एरर के बारे में पता है रादर इस एरर को कैसे रिजॉल्व करते हैं ये पता है यस हाउ मेनी ऑफ यू नो हाउ टू सॉल्व दिस एरर जस्ट टाइप वन जिन्होंने गिट पे काम किया उनको पता है ये एरर कैसे सॉल्व करते हैं जस्ट टाइप वन इफ यू नो हाउ टू सॉल्व दिस एरर यश को पता है हु एल्स ओके जब गिट पे काम किया है फिर भी नहीं पता ऐसा ऐसा कोई है feel free feel free to no judging here किसी को जज नहीं करने हैं हम ठीक है ओके पहले पहले बात तो ये एरर बहुत मिसलीडिंग है राइट सो फर्स्ट वी नीड टू look into this why this error is misleading ठीक है so for that we need to again go to the memory layout of the program and understand why this error is misleading ठीक है so what we're gonna do is we'll we'll draw again the memory layout how commands get executed into the memory or how programs get executed. Commands are nothing but the programs. Again, OS, right? Blue. So इसके पहले का फ्लो देते हैं सबसे पहले जब eco आया था right we will complete end to end flow so first it was okay let me do one thing I will also keep those commands handy to clear this was our first command and this was our second command ठीक है so we will going to look into the end to end execution in the RAM. Rather, पहले commands का पहले command का बहुत easy है, right? So what we're gonna do? There is a echo command, hello world as input. This is echo, right? Echo has written hello world in somewhere in memory space of kernel, and then echo gets evicted, right? Then we have git program. He received input from std in. So why it was here? It is a std in, and then we have git over here, and then the output of git against stored, which is nothing but a hash key. I would write h key. H key is hash key, and then it is evicted. This gets evicted. Then again new git process spawn up. क्यों? फिर से हमने git फायर किया है, git नई git प्रोसेस आई, ठीक है, and it thrown error. So return not zero, right? Zero return नहीं है, it thrown error. Now what went wrong? Why it has thrown error? Because जब git evicted हुआ, OS have evicted all this data. ये भी डेटा OS ने reclaim back कर लिया. OS has reclaimed this data. और जब ये git आया, when we fire this command, git has no idea what we are talking about. What it means is that there is no way we can maintain the state between the commands. So this is a problem for command line application. They cannot maintain the state. क्यों? क्योंकि they are very short lived. We fire some commands, they execute, process, get out of memory, and that's the reason your data, this key, is also thrown out of memory. That memory is reclaimed back by operating system. That's the reason this git cat file didn't find this key. This key was not at all there. This key was not there at all, and that's the reason it shows some error which is still misleading. It is very misleading error. So then what should happen? Ideally, when this git program execute, it should have stored this in a location which is a permanent storage. Ideally, this program should have stored this at some permanent location so that hello world का state maintain रहता था. But since we have by default git has stored into the RAM, and RAM is non-volatile memory, it will have those contents only till your program is in execution. The moment your program execution completed, any memory related to that program will be evicted out, reclaimed back by OS. Are we good so far? क्या ये explanation सबको समझा है? Just type 2 if you understood this explanation. Why we have that error? हमको वो error क्यों मिली? Because we are just firing the commands and the command line applications doesn't maintain the state unless they are writing into some persistent memory location. So if you are from, I get only a comment from Naneshwar Pingre. What about rest? Ashish, Ravi, नहीं समझा है? Should I repeat? Yes, no. It's be interactive. It's all okay if it's not understood. I can repeat. Yes sir, but किसको yes sir? Repeat करना है या समझा है? Should I repeat or okay, understood? ठीक है, good. So between the commands there is no state storing mechanism. अगर आप थोड़े बहुत पाइथन बैकग्राउंड से हो या जावा बैकग्राउंड से हो, डजंट मैटर लैंग्वेज, यू मस्ट सो जावा में जनरली या पाइथन में आप क्या करते हो, लेट्स से जावा में आप लिख रहे हो या कोई भी ऑब्जेक्ट ओरिएंटेड लैंग्वेज लिख रहे हो, लेट्स से आपके पास कुछ एम्प्लॉय क्लास आपने डिक्लेयर किया है, employee obj equal to new employee, right? This is something what you write. So what you're doing is you are asking memory into the RAM, right? New is dynamic memory allocation. So you are asking some memory for this data structure, and then you basically set some properties of this, let's say first name, last name, gender, and so on, and email, phone number, and so on and so forth, right? But at certain point of time, when you get out of the scope of this function, then this object is unreachable, right? या जब वो program terminate हो, अगर वो program terminate हो जाए, then you will never get the state that you assign to this object. You must somewhere you need to write database insert query. You know, in your program you must have fire somewhere database insert query for this object record, right? If you don't fire database insert, then when this application gets terminated, your this entire memory gets claimed back, right? The same thing happened in a Git right now. So if I coming back to my PPT, right, there are two different kinds of persistence. One is in memory. जब आप objects बनाते हो, you create them in memory, and then when you write into database, it is non-volatile location in hard disk, right? Hard disk is a persistent medium, so you don't need power. But for RAM, it has to be connected to power, and the program should be in memory, right? So if you are at all familiar with programming background, you call this as serialization. This is a programming concept, serialization. Storing the state of the entity or object is known as serialization, right? Those who are from programming background, they will know this. The serialization. Now, my ask to Git is that I should be able to store in this non-volatile memory. जब मैं non-volatile memory में store करूंगा, तब वो state maintain होगी और तब जाके वो key मिलेगी. So, then how to store in permanent location or hard disk? We need to tell Git with additional flag called -w. You need to fire this additional flag -w. Type this command and tell me the output. What's the output? Anybody? Okay. Ashish got again. Hello world. Fatal. So exactly same error, or yeah, exactly same error that we had. Yes, same output. But this time that error is pretty much logical. अब आप कह रहे होंगे 2 मिनट पहले आपने कहा था ये error misleading है, and you are contradicting with your own words, and there is a reason. So what Git says, okay, and this is, I would say, core for every DevOps, cloud, or develop or software engineer. What Git says is, I am happy to interact with you in memory, in RAM. But if you want, me to write the contents in the hard disk, then you need to do something for me. You need to do something for me. You cannot write straight away. If you want to store it in hard disk, in that case, you need to create some file structure, some folder structure for me, some container for me before I write this for you. And that's the reason what you do is Git init. So to write into the hard disk, you have to fire git init command. So all these 2 hours of talk or one and a half hour of talking is for the only one thing. Why do we need to do git init, right? Generally, when we start learning git in terms of DevOps, cloud, or software engineering side, we have been told first do git init, then do git add, then do git commit, right? But why we need to follow such sequence will only understand if you look for the plumbing commands. अगर plumbing command नहीं समझेंगे तो git init करना क्यों है? Why I am doing git init? ये clarity नहीं आएगी. So फिर git init ने ऐसा क्यों करना पड़ा git init? क्योंकि git init ने क्या किया? Git init has created some kind of folder structure into this directory. So it has created initialized empty git repository. उसका नाम है .git folder. .git folder. और ये ऑपरेटिंग सिस्टम का रूल है कि किसी भी फाइल या फोल्डर के सामने इफ इट स्टार्ट्स विद डॉट देन इट इज हिडन फोल्डर. सो गिट हैज क्रिएटेड सम फोल्डर स्ट्रक्चर. बट ये फोल्डर स्ट्रक्चर क्यों किया उसके पहले हम एक काम करेंगे. विल कम टू दैट पार्ट. अभी एक काम करो, ये कमांड फिर से एग्जीक्यूट करो. कौन सा? कैट फाइल. ये वाला नहीं करना है. नॉट द राइट कमांड. फर्स्ट एग्जीक्यूट दिस कमांड. तब आपको क्लियर होगा कि पहला एरर मिसलीडिंग क्यों था. कोई बताएगा ये कमांड एग्जीक्यूट करने के बाद क्या आउटपुट आ रहा है अभी? एनीबडी? डोंट एग्जीक्यूट हैश ऑब्जेक्ट, एग्जीक्यूट कैट फाइल कमांड. अप एरो करके मिलेगा आपको कमांड. कब करना है? गिट इनिट करना है पहले और फिर कैट फाइल करना है. फर्स्ट डू गिट इनिट एंड डू कैट फाइल अगेन. यस, टेल मी द आउटपुट. कोई भी एक आउटपुट आया तो चलेगा मुझे. हाँ, इस बार देखो एरर क्या आया. थैंक यू प्रतीक. इस बार एरर क्या आया? नॉट अ वैलिड ऑब्जेक्ट नेम. इस बार एरर ये नहीं आया कि नॉट अ गिट रिपोजिटरी. इस बार एरर क्या है? नॉट अ वैलिड ऑब्जेक्ट नेम. और वही आना चाहिए था. क्यों? क्योंकि हमने इनिट किया है, राइट नहीं किया है. अब गिट को वो डायरेक्टरी मिल गई है. गिट को उसको जो चाहिए उसने वो फोल्डर से बना दिया है, बट उसमें वो ऑब्जेक्ट नहीं है. अब क्या करो? फिर से यूज -w वाला कमांड. नाउ राइट, ट्राई टू राइट -w अगेन. एग्जीक्यूट दिस कमांड. और ये कमांड एग्जीक्यूट करने के बाद फिर से कैट फाइल कमांड एग्जीक्यूट करना. You got your hello world back, right? So I know lot of us have worked on Git, including myself. हम बहुत बार Git clone कर चुके हैं, Git add, Git init कर चुके हैं, right? But that is the syntax of the tool. The real understanding is why I'm doing it. That is what engineering approach is, right? So we have entered hello world, we got hello world back. So that means I can now trust on Git that Git is able to store any content, not just hello world. It can store my algorithm. It will be able to store my uh, YAML files in DevOps. It will be able to store my cloud formation files, YAML files, HCL files, even YAML files for Kubernetes. Yes. So firing commands is one thing. Why I am doing this is basically understanding what is happening behind the scene. So with that, what I will do is we will take a break for today's session. So आज ही रुकते हैं हम. Whether we will stop, I'm open to question. आई नो प्रतीक का क्वेश्चन अभी भी आंसर है, बट वो आज पूरा नहीं होगा. सबका की सेम क्यों आया, right? But we'll stop and we'll see. We'll basically again connect tomorrow as well. But meanwhile, any questions? I hope you get some value of out of this session. How you should think from the Git perspective. Happy to have feedback question. Please feel free to unmute. There are no question. I think then we can have our time back. We can connect tomorrow. So today at least we got how Git stores the content. Okay, एक काम करते हैं. एक 10 minutes में एक और चीज कवर कर लेते हैं. Where we can see कि hello world, we have seen hello world, we have written hello world, and then we do cat file and we got hello world back. ठीक है. तो how this hello world is written inside the Git is, हाँ ये क्वेश्चन हमें जरूर आना चाहिए कि गिट इनिट क्यों करना पड़ा ये समझा, बट गिट इनिट होने के बाद एक्चुअली क्या हुआ, ऐसा क्या गिट इनिट ने किया कि जिसकी वजह से वी आर एबल टू स्टोर दिस हेलो वर्ल्ड. तो फॉर दैट व्हाट वी नीड टू डू इज वी नीड टू गो इनटू आवर डायरेक्टरी. तो जहाँ पे आपने आपकी डायरेक्टरी बनाई है, विल गो टू सी, इन माय केस सी users, and then I will go into the आज का 21st no May 02 May. So this is, as I said कि git, this is a hidden directory क्यों, क्योंकि यहाँ पे dot git है. If you are not able to see this, what you need to do is you need to go in the view menu and then you need to take these hidden items. Otherwise you will not able to see the folder over here. For me that hidden items is already ticked. I will go inside this objects. Why? We have done hash object. Ignore these two folders for now. Look at this folder name 3F, and then also look at your key. The first two letters of your key is 3F, and then again go back to the folder. The first two letters are 3F. Go inside, look at the rest of the key. So 3F के बाद में जो भी कुछ आ रहा है, A01, in last 8D2B, if I go to 8D2B, so Git has stored this inside, just a minute, inside object database. So Git has this object database, और वो रीजन क्या है कि ऑब्जेक्ट डेटाबेस का पाथ देखो क्या है, इट इज इनसाइड डॉट गिट फोल्डर एंड देन ऑब्जेक्ट्स. तो अगर आपके पास डॉट गिट फोल्डर नहीं है, दैट्स द रीजन यू वे आर नॉट एबल टू फायर -w कमांड. तो गिट इनिट क्यों करना पड़ा, क्योंकि गिट क्रिएट्स दिस ऑब्जेक्ट फोल्डर inside dot git directory. तो git init करने के बाद git has created this folder structure for you, and that's the reason you are able to store the object into the persistence medium. It wasn't, otherwise it was before, it was storing object in RAM, right? So if you are, again, just to conclude, as I already said, right, if you are from any programming background, for example Java, .NET, so there are two types of persistence. One is in memory and database or file based. तो serialization नाम का concept, उसको हम प्रोग्रामिंग बोलते हैं, serialization. So Git has to store it. It has to serialize it so that it will give you back. So I think today we have understood why do we need to do Git in it. We have did Git in it n number of times, but why do we need to do Git in it? That why we have uncovered today. And this was the question in the GitHub interview for me. Why do you need to do Git in it? Because normally they have used to of listen the answer that it initializes the empty Git repository, and then their counter argument is that you have told what happens when you fire Git in it, and the question was why do I need to do Git in it? Are we super clear? Yes, on Mac it's Command Shift dot to see the hidden items. Okay. Any questions? We'll stop it now. I think we can reconnect tomorrow for going further deep into the layer of storage. In case if you are interested in full course, do let me know. There is no binding, no mandatory you need to join course. The free resources is the free resource from where I am teaching is Pro Git book. So if you don't, for any reason, if you can't make it to the course, there's a book called Pro Git. You can refer that book, and you will be more than expert in Git for sure. There is no uh, binding or any compulsion to join the course. Of course, who will not be happy to have money, but then as a mentor, I need to call out free resources as well. So I have learned this from a book called Pro Git by Scott Chacon. Scott Chacon was the co-founder of GitHub. So he was the first co-founder of GitHub, and then Microsoft took over it. Pro Git book open है, freely available है internet पे PDF by Scott Chacon and Ben Straub. In case for whatever reason you couldn't make it for the full batch, but tomorrow again it's a free class. So this is not separate from the syllabus. These both the classes are the part of syllabus only. But then after that, those who have registered only they will get the link. But you can refer ProGit book if you can't make it. Okay, we'll see tomorrow if we don't have any question. Thank you, Dhaneshwar. Thank you very much for your feedback. Thank you, Guru. Bye. Happy to see you again. अगर कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है तो या श्योर गो अहेड. अगर कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है तो आज रुकते हैं यहाँ पे. We'll stop the recording now. Generally, I don't stop recording unless and until questions आते हैं. I'm stopping the recording.